Mark goes to the movies. Mark goes to the movies. Mark goes to the movies. Long kicks out. Mark goes to the movies. Mark goes to the movies. Mark goes to the movies. Mark goes to the movies.
This is a goose. You listen to Mark Goes to the Movies. Huh? Maybe.
Hey, this is Mark Goes to the Movies. I'm your host, Mark, as if there would be any other host. This episode, not about movies. Again, this movie, movie I'm going to see this weekend is The Mummy. But wanted to keep pushing towards 100 episodes, right? So we got to do different things. And I've been watching Halloween specials all weekend. I got the Halloween bug. And it makes sense because it's April. Will I ever just focus on summer movies? Probably not. Summer's coming. It's gonna be hot this week. Hot in the week, uh, cooler on the weekends. It's not a bad trade-off. This episode's gonna be all about Worldwide Technology Show, the company I work for. I think it's one of the best companies in existence. I was looking at it because I just passed my anniversary of being there for 8 years now. It's insane. It's gonna be 8 years in October officially with the company. But then I was a contractor for 6 months. So I think it was April 11th was my 8 years, including contractor time. Although the story is a little more than that. And this is why the story, I think, I used to tell the story all the time. And I tell it to all my new employees that come in here. I explain what I do, explain the job. I have a team of 13 people. There is another supervisor that has 15 people. So altogether, we have 28 people for the shift, but we are looking for two more people to hop on my team, so we're both at 15 apiece. But damn, I'm watching this movie. It's Crybaby Lane. It's from Nickelodeon. I know I got distracted for a minute, but no. So the 13 people, 15 on the other team, 20 altogether. We work 8 p.m. to 4:30 a.m. So much better hours than it was before. But to get to where I am now, I got to tell you where I started. This is about 14 years ago. It was probably July. I was working at QPSI. Well, no, wait. A little further back in that, a little before the QPSI. I'll give you a little bit of QPSI story. So I was a lead for QPSI, and I remember putting my 2 months in January, 14 years ago. The just did boss was terrible. The woman named Patty Bitchface. I don't know what her acting name is. But let's go with Patty Bitchface. And made everyone's lives terrible. She was the worst. Worst human being outside of Kenneth Whittle. But she sucked. And just couldn't do it anymore. So I knew I didn't want to leave that job without getting another job. And they weren't hiring for a little while. So I said, well, I'll give it a couple months. So I put a 2 months notice in. And they just made me a regular worker. They didn't make me, they didn't, occasionally I would have to lead a line. But yeah, they stripped all my responsibilities, but still kept me the same pay because they're fucking idiots. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I Funny thing is, I quit like 2 months, and then I had to go back for a couple weeks because Robot Technology wasn't hiring right away. So I had to wait. Aerotech. Aerotech is a temp company. So I had to wait a little bit to go in there and really start working. Jeez. When I start working. When I did go there, I started in RMA. RMA is Return Merchandise Assistance. They basically, it's all they buy up a lot of places and then a lot of junk, and then it goes to RMA, it's all return merchandise, so it's all dirty stuff. And then it goes to the lab and it gets tested, and then if the test is good, then they put it out in good inventory. Otherwise, it gets recycled. But yeah, I started RMA, and then I went to the asset scan team. The asset scan team, they basically scan all these little orange tags to make sure stuff's there. And then that usually is like for people that are just hired on or about to be hired on or temporary workers. So hey, if you do well on the asset scan team, you got a spot working there. What ended up happening though, I did real well. It's just they didn't have any work for anybody that I got hired on. So the work just pretty much dried up. But I did real well, and then my mom was like, "Hey, go work in shipping. Shipping is always busy. They'll never fire you there." So I waited a few months, maybe a few months, maybe I got 6 months, beginning of the year. I got fired on around sometime in October. I know, my favorite month. Got fired around October. The second time I worked there, a little different. They the shipping. Yes, I went to shipping again. I don't know the dates. I just know because and full transparency, they let me go 3 times. 3 times I was let go. They brought back. So second time it was because AT&T bought DirecTV, and they didn't have any money in the budget, so they let everybody go. Maybe that was October. That sounds right. So October, the second time they let me go, it was in October because it was my favorite. I know it was around Halloween time because I was upset. Like, why you ruin my favorite holiday? And it was done through a meeting room, which is the worst way, right? They pull you into a room and they're like, "Hey, guys, it's not your fault, but you just don't have to work, and come back at the beginning of next year, and we'll have some work for you. We'll get ready to go. Your new budget and all that stuff, right?" Funny thing is, the first time they let me go, I botched the whole story. Fucking Mark, swear to God. So first time I was let go, they let me go. Like I was like right before 4th of July, because I bought a shit ton of fireworks, and you cannot return fireworks. So they let me go, and then I have all these fireworks, and we gotta light them off because you can't return them. And it's just like the saddest fireworks show in the world of being unemployed, losing your job while you're lighting off fireworks. Second time it was around Halloween. The stupid, yeah, I hate it too. They told us, "Hey, come into the meeting," and then there was like 2 contractors that didn't get called in there. Alonzo, we got hired at the same time. It's funny because we literally I walked out of the building and I'm like, "Oh man, Alonzo, they let us all go." And Alonzo, who's also a contractor, is like, "Who let who go?" I said, "They let all the contractors go. You didn't know?" And Alonzo was saying he lost his job and he got to keep his job. I have no idea how they decided who got to stay. I've heard stories, but uh, nothing definite, right? The third time, third time they God, it was after it was right in December. I know because I remember when they bounced around a bunch of stuff. Right, there's different departments. Some departments are better than other departments. Shipping's the best department, regardless, right? So third time, I go in there. I'm thinking I'm going to shipping. They're like, "No, you're going to receiving." I was so crabby. I was talking shit on receiving the whole time I was there. They were pretty slow. Thank God they the supervisor in receiving, a guy named Pat. He ends up being my supervisor later on down the line. So thank God wasn't too much of a pain in the ass. But I was like, yeah, receiving sucks. They brought all these new guys in that working receiving. And I'm just shit talking receiving, just like this. Yeah, shipping's the best of the whole department. And what's really weird is that when they bring you in for a third time, they bring all these contractors in at the same time to get hired on, and we're all in office. And they're like, "I wonder what this job's like. I wonder if it's a good job. I've heard good things about it." And they're like, "So much mystery in it." And I'm like, "Well, guys, let me tell you something. I've worked here. This is my third time." And they want to hear a story. Like, you have all the answers. And the thing is, they're like, "How do you explain you was fired twice before this?" or let go. My mom always said, "You didn't get fired, you got let go." Mom, I no longer work there anymore. That's the end outcome of this. So third time, yeah, bring us back. Work never picks up. Is what it is, right? I get pulled into the room again. I'm like, I've seen this shit 3 times before this. What I don't know what you want me to do, man. Uh, let go again. I knew it was coming. It still bothered me quite a bit though. Uh, then as we they didn't try a fifth time or didn't try a fourth time right away. It took some time. I'd say about 3 years, 3 years, 4 years, 3 or 4 years. That sounds weird. I wish I could edit those out. Those weird noises, weird sounds, weird words. But no, I waited 3 to 4 years. Stay home dad, took care of my kids, made sure they went to school, got them on the bus, uh, just took care of the house. Then in 2017, my mom dies. Absolutely wrecks my whole world. She was pretty much my only parent. I had a stepdad, but that's is worse. I'd rather not have a stepdad. But yeah, my mom died. Uh, she worked at Worldwide Technology too, by the way. It's a big reason why I'm there. She's my favorite person to work with. It's so good working with your parents at work because they buy your lunches. You don't have to pay for anything. They look after you. It was amazing working there. That's why I think I loved it so much. Worked in the same department, not on the same team, but same department. And yeah, that's just passed away, and the whole world fell apart. I fell into a pretty bad depression. The only thing I could do to like keep me going was I thought about my grandma. If I never dealt with my grandma's death either, I just ignored it. I didn't even go to the funeral because I couldn't. Everyone was fighting, and I was like, "This isn't what grandma would want. I'm gonna boycott the funeral." So I never processed that because at least I still had my mother. Even though my grandma was my favorite person in the world, they just couldn't process it. So I sat it out. I avoided it. Couldn't avoid my mom's funeral though. Much as I wanted to, couldn't do it. It was a rough one. But yeah, pretty much the only thing that get me out of there is I thought about my grandma and all the things she missed out. I was gonna watch 1,000 movies in one year. Literally did it to where I was watching movies from wake up to sleep. I was staying up the whole day, all day pretty much, 12, 14 hours watching movies, 16 hours, full days. I think I got to like 377 by the time. I don't want to get too much into a shit talking contest about my ex, but those details are those details. Those who know what happened. Uh, but it went pretty bad after that. And pretty much she wanted to go see other people. Leave it at that. So I was gonna lose my house, all my security and stuff like that, and I had to go stay with asshole Kenneth Riddle. He uh he pretty much bought. So in Worldwide, when you die, you get 1.5 times your salary. So I don't know how much exactly it was, but it's probably like 60, 70 thousand dollars. He spent all that money on pretty much himself. He didn't take care of. He didn't say, Mark, I'm gonna give you some inheritance from your mom's death. Here's a little bit of money. Literally, he bought a house and didn't take care of the house. That's a whole nother episode of that asshole. But yeah, so this works. I live with him, and his base in the basement. Basement was real rough. The basement was made out of the floor was made out of wood, and someone stopped living there for a little bit, and the electricity went off. So it flooded. The electricity, the water goes up, and the what is that? The drainage thing. I don't think I'm blanking out because I'm trying to tell the story, and of course I'm gonna fold under this pressure. I'm trying to figure out the name of this stupid thing. But no, it's got a hole, and then when the water goes up, it drains the water out of it. If you know what I'm talking about, you know. So the floors were all busted because of that. But I stayed there. I didn't have a job. I didn't have a car. I didn't know how to drive at that point. I think I got a permit. Got a permit, no license. Didn't have a car. No way to get around. I had a wagon. One of those red wagons. Uh, the situations came along where I had to take care of my kids too by myself. So I'm taking my youngest and oldest, they both go to school, so I gotta make sure they go off to school. Although I'm trying to work, I can't, work a daytime job. I don't have a car, I can't work a nighttime job. So I'm really struggling. The schools were just, they do not care about single dads the way they do about single moms. It's pretty rough. Constantly calling the bitch, and I'm like, ma'am, I have no car. I'm trying to make this work. Didn't get on food stamps. She didn't have a car to get the food stamp off of. Didn't have anything. Absolutely nothing. And then, God, I was walking home one day. So what had happened is I had to go back to QPSI because I only go places where I know. And Scott still worked there. Goose still worked there. Goose was my ride. He picked me up in the mornings, but Goose is just the worst. Like he wasn't gonna make any kind of adjustment to his schedule, so I was always late. And QPSI was one of those jobs where you got picked to work a line, whether he was there or not. So if he was there late, you hardly ever got to work. There was even when I did work, I was making very little money where I had to like sell shit on Facebook Marketplace to buy food. Asshole Kenny would get drunk, and the food I would buy, uh, he would eat it all after he got home from the bar, like a fucking asshole. But the walking home from school, from work one day, not school, walking home from school one day, I remember it was around Christmas time because they were doing Christmas gifts for everyone that worked that day, and they had a fried chicken lunch, and I was so excited for the fried chicken lunch because I love fried chicken, one of my favorite, probably my favorite food by far. I didn't think it's even close. I love give me some fried chicken any day of the week, but they no work, so I had to walk home, and I'm just pissed, and it's like a 7 mile walk. It's not a short walk. It's 7 miles. I did that many times too, by the way. So I'm like, all right, well, I can't do this anymore. I'm walking down, and QPSI 7 miles away, but Worldwide Technologies 4 miles away. It's on the way to walking to Worldwide Technology for QPSI. And with those saying take the bus, I tried taking the bus one time, and I chickened out because the bus looked full, and I didn't think I would have a place to sit. So I didn't take the bus. They but yeah, I'm walking halfway, and I'm like, I gotta get a work for Worldwide Technology. I gotta go do something else. At that time, I was dating a girl named Ronica. I don't know if she listens to either, but I was dating a girl named Ronica, and she had a wedding in April for some friend's wedding, and I knew I was gonna take some time off because I was gonna be her date. So I didn't want to miss any work because it was during the week, I think, and so I waited until April to apply for this. When I called up Aerotech for a spot to put an application in, seeing you guys are hiring for Worldwide Technology. They go, no, no, I'm sorry, we have a name for night shift, but not day shift. Would that work for you? And I'm like, no, it doesn't work. I got kids. I have no car. I'll be walking at night if I do that. Oh, what happened is they're like, who's your supervisor? I will see if we get a good recommendation. Maybe we can find someone else. Was it Tony Young? I'm sorry, I'm Tony redacted. I don't want to put his full name out there. Tony's done a lot for me though. He was a great supervisor, great boss. They literally though he's like it's I get a call 3 minutes later and they're like, sure enough, Mark, we got a spot right up and open up for you. So I'm getting ready to go. Right. That year I filed I know I got my taxes. The didn't get very much. I got enough for a bicycle and a pair of steel toe shoes. Because you gotta wear steel toe shoes at World Weapon now. So I get a bicycle with a headlight and a walk, everything you need for a bicycle to go there. My plan is to ride a bike. I was gonna walk if I had to, but bicycles seems to be a lot better. And yeah, God, I rode on a bike for 6 months. We were working doing the a huge heavy contract. We required a lot of overtime, so we were doing 12-hour days, 7 days a week, or 6 days a week. Sorry, not seven. That's illegal. 6 days a week. They it was rough. I ain't gonna lie to you. We were a lot of Saturdays just riding. I remember riding my bike home and always stopping at Casey's, the gas station, and getting one of those a hot barbecue chicken sandwich where they get the grilled chicken and they have the pepper jack cheese and barbecue sauce and they toast it. I got that quite a bit because again we don't have food because drunk ass can't handle his liquor and he comes home and eats everything. You know he's not going to the grocery store. So yeah, eventually I get a truck through Veronica's dad. She they sell me a truck because I was saving up. Uh, it was a stick shift. Yeah, it was really tough. There was a funny part where I was leaving leaving work. God, freshly new driving this. And I don't even know when you get into a stick. When you drive a stick, you it's really hard to go from just running to actually driving. You got to shift into that in a certain way. I missed it, and there's a huge line of cars behind me, and I stalled, and they went fucking nuts, honking and everything like that. Alonzo uh, messaged me. He was like, I was like, oh man, I told him what happened, and he's like, you was that truck? You're the guy that sit there and stop me from getting home? I was, no, I have a different story. They, there's so many work stories there, but no, they stalled and everything. I then well, I started it goes when I don't want to tell dating stories because I don't want to trash anyone. I don't think anyone deserves to be trashed that way. Maybe a couple people, but not everyone. They eventually get a Kia Soul, and yeah, I work it. I get hired on in October. All that hard work paid off. Got a car, got hired on, get amazing health insurance, 401k, all that junk. PTO, they gave you so much PTO at Worldwide Technology. I get 200 hours right now. I take the whole month off. I've recent probably the last 4 years. I've taken off the entire month of October, and it's been amazing. I enjoy it so much. And I still have extra days. I still have concert days I go to. So it's like I work 11 months out of the year. Someone told me when they were selling me on it. One was super. I don't think it was a lead. It was a lead. He was like, "Man, you only got to work 11 months out of the year if you play your PTO right." And he's right. You get a shit ton of holidays. You get a bunch of PTO, profit sharing. God, it's just an amazing place to work. And eventually, you know, I loved working first shift. It was great. I worked with a guy named Brad, as I've talked about him on the floor of the show many times. Brad is he was most charismatic. He's run for governor. He could run for governor of Illinois and easily win. Charismatic as hell. He's very likable. Most likable persons I think I've ever met. And and yeah, he sat there and we'd have so much fun. And I'd play jokes on him and pranks. I'd hide his little pack slips for the orders. We had another worker. It was just a team of three, and they would always give me and Georgia. Georgia was a louder. She was an older black lady. It was really loud, like a Medea almost, which reminds me of. I don't know if it's a bad. I don't know if it's a bad uh, comparison, but she was loud and angry, and but she was. I like the weird people, so it's probably me. She'd always ask where Brad went, and I'd be like, he's got diarrhea every day. And finally, she snapped one day. She's like, "Why does that man got diarrhea every day?" I was like, "I don't know. It's a condition, maybe." I don't know if you. I know I told him afterwards. I was like, "Yeah, I just tell George you get diarrhea every day." Really, he's going to the bathroom. Just go to the bathroom for the meeting. We had a meeting, a team meeting, all that stuff. Maybe George go to the bathroom and disappear. And I was like, "Yeah, you got diarrhea." It's to the point where if you eventually, if you quit or got fired, I just told them you died. That didn't work anymore when someone really did die, and I didn't know, so I felt really bad. There was the prank where I signed a piece of paper saying "Get out, Karen," and I signed it J scribble scribble scribble. And this woman was like, she went to our boss. I was like, "Can I get some official letterhead to write a, your fire letter for Mark?" And then she told the whole story about what we were doing, and I got lectured on perception. That was fun. Well, so look at other prank stories. There was a time where I put a grasshopper in a box, and Georgia was complaining about us taking forever to do pre-sort, and I just gave her the box so she could do it, and there was a grasshopper in it. Scared the hell out of her. So that was fun. Um, those are the main ones, I guess. But eventually, Brad becomes supervisor of third shift. I think because he is charismatic and likable, so they gave him the job. He gets the job, and he's like, "Yeah, man, I'm trying to be a lead on first. I don't get the first shift job." But Brad's like, "Hey, man, come to third shift, be my lead." So eventually, I think I went to NIC2 to help out. Different building. I was always afraid to leave my comfort area. The leaving building for building 2 for a little while got me out of my comfort area. So I said, sure, I'll be your lead on third shift. I'd already applied and interviewed, so they didn't make me do that all over again. And it was a good fit. And man, third shift starting out, they didn't like me at all. It was had to learn a lot of leadership lessons. They didn't enjoy the fart bombs. We used to do fart bombs and pop them, throw them in the trash. Just see everyone staying on the time clock instead of working, getting ready to go home, like or doing anything else besides sitting by the time clock. So what I do is just pop a fart bomb, throw it in the trash can, make it real smelly, drive away. Same thing with the just them in the docks, just doing fart bombs. Brad would be we'd be at our desk, and I'd spray the fart spray in front of the fan all over his face. It's go over the place. I don't know. Funny fart bomb jokes. At least they were meaning, and Brad enjoyed them. I'm sure, and lots of people enjoyed them. Actually. But eventually, yeah, I had to crack down and leadership skills, learn them all, go to classes, go to the grow classes, do all that stuff, how to show you how to be a proper leader. And that's what it was. It was just it was a good learning experience. I'm doing so well that I eventually third shift supervisor spot opens up. I'm thinking I'm going to work with Brad. I was like, hey man, Brad is like, you need to apply for this role. You're gonna get it because we had a couple bad people in there. There was a guy that drank and would walk around the building. He was a supervisor, and there's no, I don't know what the hell he did, but he got fired, and that was the spot that was opening up. They he's like, hey, you gotta apply for it. I'm thinking, all right, I'll apply for it, and I'll work with Brad, and it'll be the dream team of third shift, the best duo in history of third shift. This was for just past. This is year 5 now. I'm working on year 5, so I passed year 4. And I was like, yeah. And then I find out because they have a leadership conference. This is during COVID. I find out that he's leaving to go to first shift receiving, and we worked them together for a month, and that was it. There was no more. So yeah, he left me, and then worked with a guy named Sean, and eventually now I work with a guy named Joe. I've been on third shift for this is year 5. The past 4 years now. So working on year 5. Again, best company in the world. They have a wellness check to where they just check your health, check check your blood pressure, all that stuff. And they discovered I had diabetes, didn't know how to do prescription stuff because we were never able to go to the doctor as a kid. There was always this, hey, you'll be all right with some sleep, sleep it off. And you can't sleep off diabetes, unfortunately. But they gave me the medicine. They had me Ozempic, metformin, all that stuff, and very thankful. They have a whole clinic just for us to pick, for the doctors and stuff. And I can't think of a better place. I make so much more money than I ever thought I would ever make. I make more than both my mom and Asshole Kenny ever made in that place. So that's pretty put together, actually. They yeah, they definitely look out for you, for sure. I'll never forget. My mom got sick before she died. She didn't die. She died working there, but she was an employee while she died at the building. But she got sick, and they let her go because my mom did not believe in free money. She did not believe in FMLA. I don't know what it was. I think she would have lost some of her money because she took care of my grandma when she was sick before she died. So there's the pressure of Kenny quit his job there too. Kenny also worked there. That dumbass left a good sign for Amazon. Didn't like Amazon, so he quit Amazon. But he couldn't go back, so she was the only income there. My mom worked her ass off. It would be so cold there, and with lupus, you know, messing with her blood, that her lips would turn blue, her face would turn blue when she got so cold. Because there's no heat and there's no air. The one downside, I guess. That's why you work your night shift. You don't have to do any of that stuff. But no, they let her go, and they brought her back as a captain on Aerotech, and passed away. It was over the holiday weekend. She died January 1st. But they had the holiday weekend off, and technically they didn't have to, I don't think they had to pay her for life insurance, but they did. They went and paid the life insurance money. Wouldn't have been able to bury her without it. And then we had another employee, Miss Carol. They raised money for her, and they gave it to asshole Kenny because I guess they didn't know better. But no, I mean, I had some great times working there. Never thought I would still be there after many times they let me go. But man, they just took us to Las Vegas last year. I never even imagined. Like, it's crazy that when they took me to Las Vegas, I was sitting there, and this was a great moment. It was a luxury hotel. It was the Araya. It was a super luxury hotel, and they gave us our own rooms and everything. And I just remember, like, I had the window open so I could look at the Las Vegas itself, the city, and all the lights and everything. And I remember just looking out and being like, God, I've struggled so much from walking to work to riding a bike to work to struggling with these kids and like being let go so many times and having to start over, four times. I remember looking at the city and being like, actually, that was like I made it moment. Like, I'm sure I'm gonna go pretty far in this company. They it's so easy to move up. I mean, there's plenty of opportunities, but man, it's I was sitting there and I couldn't believe it. Just staring at this huge city that I never thought I'd ever go into. They paid for everything. They paid for the hotels. They paid for the food. They paid for the airplane tickets. Everything. I learned how to do a fucking airplane. I get on an airplane. I didn't know how to do that. Never imagined we'd fly an airplane. My vacations as a child was going from where we were living down south, Chaffee, Wolf Lake, McClure, Thebes. It was going from there to Sauget. Sauget's not a vacation area. It's not a vacation destination. And I'm visiting my grandma Cindy. My grandma Cindy didn't do nothing bad to me. She's Kenny's mom, so she didn't do nothing bad to me. I still have a lot of respect for her. But man, it's this is the best place in the world. I don't think I've ever worked a day there. It's never felt like God, I'm ready for this day to go over with. Just so thankful. I have the best bosses. I thought shout out a guy Dave Biggerstaff. I haven't talked about him on the show. So like Dave showed so much patience through the fart bombs. They got mad at us. I remember he was talking to Brad, and I guess Brad got a bad review too, just from the employees. They give you the employees get the review their bosses. Everyone gets to review their bosses actually. But I remember he was asking me questions, and he was like, "Did you throw fart bombs in a trash can?" And I was like, "Well," and then thank God for Brad. Brad was like, "Dave, it was funny. I'll never forget that. It was the most embarrassing moment ever to admit to that." And then trying to convince someone who's very serious that it was in fact a joke. Thank God for Brad being there and being like, "It was funny, Dave. But you won." So, God, that's the guy. If Brad commits murder, I'd be a character witness for him. I'd say the guy probably deserved it. He wants to run for governor. I'd be his campaign. wouldn't quit my job because I love my job, but I'd be like, hey, I can do some. I'd do as many podcasts with him as he wants. I'd be fully behind him. He's like Scott at QPSI. Scott's another guy, probably tons of QPSI stories. Although it's getting pretty far away now, my memory's getting fuzzy on them. There are some pretty good ones though. We had a lot of fun stealing badges and stuff. But yeah, that's worldwide technology, man. Consistently in the top 100 places to work in the country. This year we're number 10. It's like 15 years in a row. The entire time I've been there, they've been there. They have a huge Christmas party. Sorry, employee appreciation party. Um, just a great place to move up, great place to grow, and it's the best place in the world. I think all the employees would appreciate. They would agree. At least most of them, anyway. Some people just complain. They're like, yeah, it's an amazing place. I don't want to ever work for another place ever again. Never want to start over. I don't see myself ever starting over anywhere else. Like this is it. So even if podcasting took off, even if it was an instant hit, like I'd still, continue as long as I could. Unless they're like, yeah, you got to do a full time podcast every day. I'd still try to find a way, but it would probably move me out of there. But that's the story, man. We went 35 minutes. Jesus Christ. 35 minutes, nice story. It is 3:05 though. So I'm not leaving this room. Not leaving till 4 because the ghosts are out there. Can't get me in here though. But yeah, that's the episode. Hope you enjoyed it. Continue to listen. Hey, the foreigners, all these other countries are boosting their numbers up. They're overtaking America. America needs more listeners. Spread the word, will ya? This is Mark Goes to the Movies.